Hello everyone, it's been a long time. I apologize for my unannounced YouTube break if my absence has been felt, but I am sure you lived through it without any problems. If you're a recurring viewer, thank you for the wait. And if you're new here, my name is Andrada and I am an illustrator from Romania. I took a longer than intended break because I needed one, and after that we celebrated Easter here in Romania. After Easter I started working on the illustration you'll see me making later in the video for a competition organized by They Draw and Uppercase magazine. And after that my husband introduced me to this adorable and highly addictive video game called Ratopia. If you haven't heard of it, it's a colony building and management game, and the art is so beautiful and there's always something to do in it, and I just couldn't stop playing it at the cost of my many other hobbies and life endeavors. But we are in week 8 of The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron, and this intro is about my last artist date. It was just chilling at a cafe and writing my morning pages. Nothing fancy. I wasn't in the mood to do anything more exciting. I took my film camera out though and took one picture. I want to use it more. We have had this camera in our family for forever. I think I was in the first grade when my parents got it for us as a Christmas present. We took so many family pictures with it, and I still love to use it from time to time. The pictures come out slightly blurry, but it feeds my sweet childhood nostalgia. The camera was in a bag with a small digital calculator and a table clock, if I remember correctly. Only the camera and the calculator have survived for all these years, and they're both in my possession. And they both work. I don't know what happened to the clock though. Let me know if you have any old items from when you were a kid and that still work today. While I draw a very cozy breakfast scene, I want to talk about this week's chapter from the book. Julia makes some really interesting points that I would like to share with you. The first thing she talks about is creative losses and how to deal with them. She says, and I quote, "Like the career of any athlete, an artist's life will have its injuries. These go with the game. The trick is to survive them, to learn how to let yourself heal. Just as a player who ignores a sore muscle may tear it further, an artist who buries his pain over losses will ultimately cripple himself into silence. Give yourself the dignity of admitting your artistic wounds. That is the first step in healing them. When faced with a loss, immediately take one small action to support your artist. Even if all you are doing is buying a bunch of tulips and a sketch pad, your action says, 'I acknowledge you and your pain.'" End of quote. I love that she calls it dignity, because most of the time we are so harsh with ourselves or just plainly don't want to show our grief for fear of being judged or whatever that we forget to treat ourselves with the same respect we would a friend in a similar situation. We would not brush over a friend's pain, so we should not want to do it to ourselves. We need to support ourselves when we suffer. We need to allow ourselves to suffer and then do something about it. I think it's healthier than putting on a tough act and pretending we are not hurt. Another really good point that she makes in this chapter is about creativity and time and age. I have mentioned in my 2023 year review and 2024 art resolutions that I have a bad relationship with time. I think I am too old for some things. I feel like I should have started my art career earlier than I did, and I constantly feel like my life is over. I recently read something about an actor or film director I think it was Guillermo del Toro who said something along the lines he never felt more finished than when he was young. Like he should have accomplished so much more by the age of 30 or in his 20s. When actually that's when life really begins for most of us. And I do remember feeling so lost and late, even at 23 when I finished university. What the hell was I expecting to accomplish by that age? Julia says, I am too old is something we tell ourselves to save ourselves from the emotional cost of the ego deflation involved in being a beginner. It's an evasive tactic. It is always used to avoid facing fear. End of quote. I feel like this is so true. We fool ourselves with that phrase that we learned from the ones too afraid to try their hand at anything creative in their lives. I bet we often heard our parents or other close relatives say, "You're too old to play with toys," or "You're too old to watch cartoons," or other phrases as such. Julia also said that we treat old-timers the same. I am sure we heard people say about other older people that they're too old to go to university or start playing an instrument. We deny other people and ourselves so much creative joy and happiness in life with such a mentality. As Julia points out, many blocked creatives tell themselves they are both too old or too young to allow themselves to pursue their dreams. Creativity occurs in the moment, and in the moment we are timeless. Another creative block we tend to face is the changes we need to make in our lives to make more room for creativity. We often think that for that we need to make big changes, leave husbands, move to different cities or countries, buy or rent a studio and whatnot, when what we probably need is to postpone doing the laundry for 2 hours to have an artist date, or clear a corner of our living room to put in a desk to work on our craft, or go to an acting class once a week, and so on and so forth. Julia says we are just being dramatic. I quote, "Indulging ourselves in a frantic fantasy of what our life would look like if we were real artists. We fail to see the many small creative changes that we could make at this very moment. This kind of look at the big picture thinking ignores the fact that a creative life is grounded on many, many small steps and very, very few large leaps." End of quote. I couldn't agree more. I made some mistakes like these myself. I gave up my full-time job for an art career when what I actually needed most was to change my mindset from "I am not a real artist" to "I create, therefore I am an artist." I needed to make a daily habit of drawing. True, the job was soul-sucking, but in reality, it wasn't the actual job that was destroying me. It was my expectations about it, the way I made it my life. I was too invested in it emotionally, instead of just going there, doing what was asked of me and using it as what it was, a thing that pays the bills. I didn't have my priorities straight, but I don't blame myself. That's what I knew then, and old Andrada did her best. Anyway, if you're thinking you need to make a 180 in your life to be able to be creative, I suggest you take a step back from the despair and creative hunger you might be feeling and do some small adjustments and just go from there. I believe that most of the time we have to face our own beliefs and shatter them if they keep us from moving forward. This is a longer video than usual. It took me a long time to make this illustration. It took me about 20 hours. It doesn't sound much, but it felt like an eternity sometimes. I really loved it though. I plan on hanging this up in my own kitchen. I wanted to draw bread for a long time, and it was finally the time, I guess. I have an article on my blog about this illustration. I will leave it linked in the description box below if you're interested to read my thoughts on it. And if you want something similar for your kitchen or to give as a present to someone, my contact info is also in the description box. Thank you for watching this video until the end. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel for more art related content. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Bye bye.